Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to yet another Mental Health Tuesday. This is the 30th episode. Would you imagine? Since August last year to date, every Tuesday we have been here discussing matters of mental health. So I'm very pleased to have you yet again on this platform. Let's believe and invite the Supreme Being, God, into this session and believe that He is going to shepherd us to the greater heights. So thank you very much. Welcome, and we're going to start. My name is Mohammed Ali Machausa. I will be your moderator. I will be supported by team from SambaSports. We have Manaisha, we have Nuri, we have Kadzo, who can jump in anytime. Our topic today, and this is a topic that has been requested by a number of us, a number of times. They wanted us to see or to hear how best can we bounce back from our broken families. Most of us or some of us are coming from broken families, or we try to build up families that break in the process, or we find ourselves in relationships that have not been working and we need to move on. How best can we bounce back to the best in our lives? That's the topic. And we have no one better to take us in that other than Mama Anissa Menza, who is going to give us insights into how we can bounce back. So Mama Anissa, if you are ready, you can take up the stage. I don't want to take any more of your time. Welcome.
Thank you, Mohammed. I hope everyone is good. I'm clear. Am I heard?
You are very clear, Mama.
Okay. Well, the topic is very interesting. And what I want to start up with is to understand some definitions. Like, what is home? Nyumbani ni nini? Ni wapi? And what is family? When you say, this is my family, what is family? So by first understanding what is home, a home is where you get warmth, where you feel you belong, where you are accepted. A home is where you find love. A home is a place where you personally feel that, okay, I'm fine and everything is peaceful there. That is the definition of a home. And there are so many other definitions, but I just want to go with this one. So, and what is a family? A family is a place where those people who are bonded maybe by blood or by any relationship, they come together and they stick together regardless of any situation, be it fights, be it disappointments, but they still stick together. Yeah, they might be having individual issues. They might be having differences in beliefs. They might be having personalities which are not lined up with the others. They might even not be in good terms with each other, but still it's a family. And when they come together and they feel that wherever they are is peaceful and good for them, that is now where we call home. So it's good to understand these two aspects first. I'm talking in English because I saw, I've just heard that somebody, maybe if she can understand Kiswahili, I continue with Kiswahili or I mix. Mohammed, do I mix?
Kindly mix. I know Andy Uta has a PhD in Kiswahili, and Kaitlin,
Wow.
I'm not so sure, but I'm very sure she's conversant in Kiswahili a bit. So mix.
Much. Thank you. So tumeshaelewa nyumbani ni wapi na familia inakaa vipi. So when we come and we say that a broken home, obviously this is now a place where you no longer belong, you no longer find warmth there, you no longer feel loved, you no longer, it's just a place where it's totally a new place for you. That is why we call it broken, because all those ties, all that warmth is no longer there. And a broken home is normally ni wakati ambapo labda familia ina wazazi na wale wazazi kwa sababu ya jambo moja ama lingine hawaelewani, ama wameamua kugombana, ama labda pia wameachana kabisa, ama wako separated. Hapo ndipo tunasema labda ni sababu fulani ambazo zinafanya hiyo nyumba inakuwa ni broken. Tunaenda polepole, alafu tena tunarudi chini and we look at a broken family. A broken family can also include unhealthy and bad relationships vis-a-vis the way it was formerly. So imebadilika, instead ya kuwa nzuri, sasa imekuwa mbaya, na uhusiano huu unafanya ile nyumba haiwi nyumba tena anymore. Kuna sababu nyingi sana ambazo zafanya kuwe na broken home, na sana sana hizi sababu zinatokana na labda wale wazazi wenyewe wawili, ama watoto katika ile family, ndugu, jamaa ambao wanaishi katika ile familia. Lakini pia kuna wakati mwingine it's about the family and the parents, and the kids. So all those aspects zinaweza zikafanya family ikakuwa broken. It's also very, very important to know that some causes are not only, there are some other causes, not only divorce. Si kuachana tu peke yake. We have quite a number of other causes, because wanasema sometimes kunakuwa na dispute katika ile familia, na dispute hii pengine si ya yule baba na mama peke yake. It had gone beyond them to the maybe the shosh and the babu, the grandparents. So that conflict pengine ni ya wale, but it may affect the grandchildren. So here it's not about the mother and the father, it's about their parents, but it might affect the children. We also see that sometimes these conflicts and misunderstanding, they erupt until now people find themselves isolated, neglected, stigmatized, discriminated. Hizi vitu vote ni muhimu sana kuweka kwa akili. Tuelewe kwanza zile sababu, so that ujione kuwa in my home, was it really broken, ama it was just something very shallow. Some of these issues are very deep, and some of these things can be talked of and actually can be amended and people come back together. But some of them are very deep. Some of the causes ambazo zikafanya a home to be broken include financial issues, mambo ya kifedha fedha. Saa ingine ni sexual misunderstanding pale ndani ya family. Yule baba na yule mama hawaelewani kwa misingi ya kujamiana wao wenyewe, na unajua vitu kama hivyo si rahisi kuzungumza. So you might find such a family, yule baba iko kivyake, yule mama iko kivyake. At the end of the day, there might be separation or divorce, because issues kama hizo in our African system, sometimes we don't talk about them. Other issues are like unwanted marriage. You get into a relationship, a marriage relationship, hukutarajia, hukutaka, umekuwa forced na family ama with circumstances, not only family. Circumstances pia zinakuforce, unajikuta uko katika hiyo ndoa. Hiyo ndoa inaweza isiwe ndoa ambayo itaendelea muda mrefu. Kuna uwezekano wa kuwa inaweza kubreak. Kuna disagreement about pregnancy. Hii pia ni sababu. Labda the man wants more children and the woman feels I need a rest. They don't have time to talk. They never dialogue. Hii inaendekeza mpaka mwisho yule bwana anaona huyu kwa nini hataki kunizalia. Huyu mke naona mbona ananifanya machine. Now they start conflict, alafu mambo inaharibika and other breakup can happen. Zingine ni about livelihood in the family. Yule bibi anaona huyu bwana ni maskini tu, haendelee hata siku moja, ni maskini, kila siku apeleka mkokoteni tu, ye hata hakuna hata stage moja ambayo iwapanda. That one also inachangia, na inachangia sana kwa sababu like so many marriages they are after material things, and when you go for material things you miss out the real direction. There's another thing which is so huge now, which causes a lot of divorces and also separation and instability in the families. Na hii ni health problems. And when I'm talking about health problems, kwanza nataka kuangazia on a very lighter note ya kuwa tuko na magonjwa ambayo ni very, yani zinakera, labda bwanako labda alikuwa anakuangalia lakini amekereka mpaka mwisho amechoka, ni binadamu. Ama yule mke pia anamwangalia yule mume, mwisho anaona this is just too much, na pengine there's no family support, you see, anachoka, alafu kule kuchoka kwake anapata bad advisors nje, then inaend up kwa ni kitu kibaya. There are so many cases on illnesses ama health problem, and including even the man kuwa hayuko sawa sawa, hali yake ya kingono haiko sawa, ile pia huwa inaweza ikachangia na ikakuwa mbaya, manake those are the things we never talk about. Alafu kuna inability to apologize. You know, we normally assume that wanaume hamuombi msamaha, na mkiomba msamaha you package it, and that packaging ndio sisi wanawake hatujui. So labda I'm expecting you come and tell me, baby, sorry, this and this happened, you know, in a good way, but kutoka kwa wanaume wengine it's very difficult kutoka hiyo sorry. Why? Because this man has also been role model by a man who never used to say sorry. Sasa ni vigumu kwake kama atasema sorry. So huyu mwanamke ataona kama huyu anamdharau nini, expectation yake kuambiwa sorry. The sorry is packaged in a kanga, the sorry is packaged in something else, the sorry is packaged in an outing, but the woman expected isemwe verbally that I am sorry. So inakuwa very tricky. Nataka kutoa hizi sababu ili kila mtu ajione pale katikati. So maybe the last one, I just want to talk about lack of resilience. Unajua babu zetu, manyanya zetu zamani walivumiliana. Kuna mambo ya kuvumiliana. Kuna hiyo tukikosa hiyo. Times zingine huwa zinakuja zinabadilika. I remember Dr. Mjaid told us the other day ya kuwa kuna times zingine huwa zinabadilika, alafu unakuta mambo yamekuwa tofauti. Lakini ikiwa kama hakuna hiyo subra, mambo mengi sana huwa yani yanakatika haraka. Na sababu ni nyingi, lakini I just wanted to talk about those one. What are the effect? Kwa haraka. The effect are you having a very bad dysfunctional family ambayo haijielewi. Kuna loss of earning kwa nyumba kwa sababu concentration yao imechukuliwa na akili yao wanafikiria zile dhulma na nini vile alivyofanywa. Kuna low education levels most of the time, not always, because concentration ama ile mapato atapata wapi, because such families they end up becoming very poor. Labda ni mama tu mbaki na watoto, ama baba ndiye amebaki na watoto peke yake, ama these kids wazazi wote wameamua kwenda, wako na shosh, na wengine wanaamua kuishi peke yao, so inakuwa so traumatizing, so stressing. They lose hope, they despair totally. There's a lot of sicknesses, psychological and sometimes even physical, kwa sababu ya lack ya lishe nzuri. Alafu kuna a lot of cycles of violence. Toka this violence nyingine inafanya press up inakuja, after this, after kitu kidogo tu wa mtu tayari hawezi kuvumilia, anapiga kelele, Alafu pia kuna some blood. If you have a dream, if you had a vision, that vision will be blood. Manake utakuwa uoni mbele wewe, sasa unaona tu mimi ni mtu wa kuonewa na I will never even achieve whatever I wanted to do. But the most important one I wanted to talk about is poor relationship with others. Unresolved of this conflict with the family members will affect all your other relationships. Kama ni urafiki tu wa labda just a friendship, huwezi kuendelea muda mrefu. You'll have this friend again, umeshakosana naye, you come again, have another friend, ushakosana naye, and if it's maybe intimate, the same thing, you drop up people, unawarusha tu kama kitambara ama dera. So hiyo is so much. Alafu pia they lose trust totally. They don't trust hizo stories of relationship. Hakuna trust kabisa. Some of them, they use drugs, they become alcoholic. Some of them have suicidal thoughts, and maybe even attempt. But most of them now become perpetrators. Wewe ulifanyiwa, na wewe pia probability ya kuchezea watoto wako ama kuna nini watoto wako is very, very big. Kwa sababu wewe mwenyewe hukuona ukifanyiwa. You've been neglected, you've been stigmatized, hukupewa hata ile future you wanted. You raised yourself alone. The community haikukuelewa, hata ukapata tabia ambazo wewe mwenyewe usingependa kuwa nazo. Sasa it's very, very easy wewe pia ukawa utaweza kufanyia wengine. Now hiyo ndio hasara kubwa. Why? Because of that scar. Ile scar kama utakuwa utaifanyia kazi, bado ni wound, inakuwa ni mbaya. Machausa, I just want to pause a bit, because now we are coming to that point of talking about restoration. How I have now to bump back now to my normality, because I have to live. Can maybe I leave somebody maybe to ask a question or we respond to something before I come now to the real now steps of maybe coming back to your own senses, coming back to your own real person, coming back after all what has happened to you. Okay.
Thank you, Mama Anisa. You are breaking it down like I don't know, not a teacher, a very eloquent lecturer. You have your work well cut out. You have taken us into stages, and let's allow people to ask a few questions until maybe for the next 5 minutes. And until then, I am also reading some of the comments here. Manisha Kwania says, I think one of the reasons for broken families can be expectations from either party. Again, she goes again and saying the reasons why people get married also can lead to breakup if not met, of expectations from our spouses. Andy would says, from experience, I would say the onset of an untreated mental illness. Maybe that's a cause for broken families. Manisha goes on and says lack of values. Yes, so if we have anybody who would like to have their voices heard. This is your moment. Raise your hand, please, and then we'll give you the opportunity to speak. We have Nuri. Uni mjadala wazi. It's a safe space. Anybody who wants to say something, they are allowed to. Nuri?
Asante sana, Mohammed. I think I have quite some experience when we start talking about broken families. And for me, I have seen it through family members and in my family and even in the neighborhood. But the most important thing that a lot of people are failing to understand is that most families are breaking apart, and this is because of the parents themselves. And something that has been mentioned is lack of remorse, and also the inability of someone saying that, this happened and I'm sorry. And this extends not only between the parents themselves, but also towards the children, and even the children to the parents. So there are times where something happens and the tragic, parents look at it lightly, and they don't see it as a reason why a family could break, and where, let's say, the children feel like, we have been betrayed. So we feel like our relationship with our father, maybe with our mother, is not so strong because this happened. And that is because maybe one of the parents, or rather both parents, did not acknowledge it, and it becomes a whole other problem. Another thing, most of the time I see, is when other family members try to meddle in affairs and try to have the other families do something that is not what they'd love to do it at that particular moment. And I think this stretches, especially when in our Islamic cultures, when the husband wants to add another wife, and some of the family members are up for that and some are not up for that, and this creates some wrangles between the family, and the situation afterwards is always not a good looking. So yes, there are so many reasons, but I feel like if we put it into our context here, those are pretty much that we can understand it.
Thank you very much, Nuri. Thank you very much, Nuri. I'll leave that to Mama Anisa and see what she can do with it. Manaisha, you have your hand. Please take the stage.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Manaisha, we have feedback from your end. Maybe you
Okay, I'll use Nuri's
okay.
gadget. So what I was saying is the reasons why also people or families end up broken, because of what we were told the last sessions that we had when we were with Prof. Mujahid, and we talked about dialogue. Sometimes we don't get a chance to talk about issues openly and discuss on them, what made it happen. The issue, the whole issue of dialoguing to a certain issue that have arisen in a family or between two people, it's very important, because you tend to understand what the person feels, why that thing happened or that issue happened and all that. So you get a chance to discuss it to read lengthily and to come with the solutions. And you find out, especially in our areas, in Kwale or Mijikenda, we can say, we tend not to talk about issues too lengthily to reach to a conclusion or to get a solution. Sometimes we talk about issues, everyone depending their end, thinking about everyone is right at their level, and we're not getting to solutions. And these things keep on piling up. Today, maybe he didn't come early and you pay up that because you don't have discussion around it. Tomorrow she's not respectful enough, and people don't sit down and talk about that. So whenever these issues keep on emerging and they're not talked about, or we don't have dialogue on coming up with solutions on what to do, then we end up breaking our families because the interest to one another, they keep on zinaisha, kwa sababu every time there's this issue and it is not talked lengthily, and unapata zinaluzisha hiyo moral kabisa. So at the end we break up, and most people who get wanaumia sana katika these breakups are the children, because when these families are broken, the children remain, they don't have no one to talk to, their situations are not addressed. We don't know if these kids wako na issue gani. We tend not to care about them, or we forget them in the process. We look at this mother who was divorced, or this man who has maybe he's divorced his wife, and we only concentrate on those and we forget about the kids. And these kids, they grow up angry, they grow up feeling like they cannot trust anyone because they have seen from their mothers and fathers how they brought up their relationship. They don't trust their relationships anymore. So these same children, when they grow up, they have their own families, and the lineage continues. Like they continue having the same issues that the mothers, their fathers, their grandfathers had, and we still continue to have families that are broken and children who remain miserable or mentally disturbed. And also the generation goes on and on and on. So at the end, we'll see like maybe a certain family, every time when someone is trying to get married or into a relationship, it breaks or it doesn't work because there's something that is missing from the word go when he or she was a child. So I think it's important for us to address these issues and see how we can address, we can help our next generation.
Thank you very much, Manaisha. That was a mouthful. That was a mouthful, and I want to give Mama Anisa the liberty to take us to the next level of how do we bounce back. But before that, Mama Anisa, there is quite some interesting contributions on the call chat, and allow me just 1 minute to read them through, and then I give you back your platform, Mama Anisa. One, Eunice Ndubi says, I think giving an ear to other family members can lead to a breakup. I think she means, as a couple, if you listen too much from other people outside your marriage, then it leads to a breakup. And then we have my brother, Ben Ooko, alias Amani Kibera, says, infidelity is a major cause of family breakup. Thank you, brother Ben Ooko, all the way from Kibra, Nairobi. And then Matano Omari says parents can be a cause of breakups too. Like a mom can criticize his husband in front of his children, ending up children despising their own dad, leading to parental breakup. Or dad disconnects with his whole family. Thanks, Omar, for that. Benoko comes back, says also being in an abusive or violent relationship most of the time ends up in a breakup. And then Mama Riziki Makusirikwa, I'm sure this wouldn't have ended without her speaking. She says culture is also a reason to why there's a lot of family breakups. Thank you very much. Mama Anisa, I want to give it back to you. You will choose what to do with the information shared.
Thank you so much, Muhammad. That is why I say that I'm just giving you some tips. I know that each person has their own, you know what, their own experiences. Now, wanajua some of these things in our African culture, mostly utaona you will either experience being in a broken family, ama utaona kwa jirani kama Mama Kibera vile alimesema, hiyo ni kweli kabisa. And that is why nilikuwa ninawaambia kwa dialogue is the key to everything. But we've been socialized in our African system. Dialogue is a taboo sometimes, especially between a husband and a wife. Ni kama it's like to zero. Yeah. Nimefurahi sana vile Riziki alivyokuwa sorry, not Riziki, Manaisha, the way alikuwa anasema about the effects. Yes, the kids are the ones who are affected more. And that is why I said that the cycles of violence will continue. They'll continue from one generation to another generation. Now, what do we do to restore harmony? You have to first think as a survivor. That is number one. First think as a survivor. You've gone through it. You are not a victim. You didn't choose that family to be your family. You didn't choose that act to be done on you. So you are a survivor. So number one, you have to accept whatever has happened has happened. And you look ahead. Look ahead. How is your life going to be? Okay, you are wounded. Okay, you are wounded. But then you have a life to continue and move on. First, accept it has happened to you. But you want to restore. How do you do? Number two, you have accepted. That is, you have started stepping on your ego. Because some of the things we don't resolve because of our own egos. Mwanaisha said it very well, that when we get into relationship, saa ingine tunakuja na matarajio. We come with expectations. And unfortunately, hizi expectation ama matarajio yakija yamekuwa branded in a way that even that person doesn't know. So how will I know? You've come packaging, unaipackage vile wewe unajua. Sasa mimi nitajuaje? I will not know. The woman comes with expectation and the man comes with expectation. Stop this ego. Hiyo ego kwanza ianze kutoka, uone yule mwenzako kama mwenzako. Okay, I know it's difficult. Some of our partners are like, hata sijui niseme nini, lakini hawaelewi. Kuelewa haeleweki. And I'm very sorry to say ya kuwa men are affected, but women are affected most. Because women mara nyingi they are a lesser gender, na wao wenyewe pia wamejichukulia they are a lesser gender. So the effects are more kwa wao, na wanapata tabu, but mostly zinakuwa cause na hiyo ego, na hiyo torture imefika wapi. Then after umeamua wewe, now I have to stop this and become positive. I want now to focus, and maybe it's because of you, it's not even because of the other person. Do everything because of your own self. So you go for forgiveness. You are not forgiving because you're forgiving them. You are not going for forgiveness because of so and so. You are going for forgiveness because of yourself. Because sometimes time has already healed the issue. Sometimes you stay for so long that ile time yenyewe imeheal ile issue. But the ego inakwambia wewe bado kaa. Kwani lazima uende kule kwa mkue. Kwani lazima ufanye nini, you know? So ile time yenyewe ikiwa ishaanza kukusaidia kuheal ile issue. Now pale ndio mahali you grab that opportunity and act. Sometimes it's just because unaona huruma, maybe even yule mtu ambaye alikufanyia hivyo vote, this person has become sick, this person is this and this person is low, this person amekosa makazi, you know, there are certain things inafanyika zenyewe. Yeah? Weka ego yako chini. Angalia hiyo jambo. Angalia tu hilo jambo, uliangalia vile litakavyokuwa na ulielekeze. I know with the young people right now, and most of you are young people I'm talking to, this thing is like a dream. But believe you me, you will grow. Na mkikuwa, mtafika wakati msema, I wish I had forgiven. And that is a fact. It's only yesterday, anybody who watched Citizen News, there was that man who had stayed for 49 years out of the family. Aliuza mali ya mzee, akaenda akakaa Lamu. 49 years. Back home. wamemforgive. You see? So there are certain things you really have to weigh out and see, je, kama vile Mwanesha for the purposes of my kids, wacha tu nisamee, hata kama I won't be with that person, but unasamee, you just samee that thing. Another thing, you be real. We are fake. I'm sorry to say this. Let us be real. Kama ni forgiveness, you are forgiving even yourself, be real. You are doing that forgiveness for your own self. Be real. Don't fake issues. Usiseme we hapa sasa unafanya hii lakini kinyume it's something else. It will not help you. Psychologically it might haunt you. And when it haunts you, una increase ile burden katika, yani unazidi kuweka chumvi katika kidonda. Then you have to think of, nitaishi hivi mpaka lini? You know, having maybe labda ni siblings, mulikata undugu, na ndugu yako yuko mbali, au unaweza kujifikiria nitaishi hivi mpaka lini? It's either mimi nife kama atakuja, ama yeye akufe kama mimi nitaenda. Just start thinking it over. Kama ni mzazi wako ndiye alikukosea ile last, like most of the girls, and I'm talking now and they're really feeling, and I'm sorry if kama natonesha hiyo kidonda, most of the girls wanakuwa raped na baba zao. Anaamua kutoka kwa family, anaamua kujificha maisha yake yote, but then ile kitu haitatoka, it's still there unless amua kuifanyia kazi. Kama atafanywa therapies, ataamua kuishi katika life ambayo kisawasawa na nini, but it will haunt her forever. Then as you think of doing all that, lazima uweke boundaries. Boundaries zako ni zipi? Wanasema ya kuwa ukiumwa na nyoka once, ukiona ung'ongo unashutuka. Hiyo itakuset free, manake wewe mwenyewe unajua up to here. Hakuna mambo mengine zaidi. Ndio umeamua, umekubali, umekuwa real, umeforget, but this is me and I'm up to here. Ili yule mwenzako ajue mipaka yako ni ipi. Unaona? Alafu pia you have to seek support. You have to seek support. Na nikisema support, there's so many types of support. We have religious support, we have psychological support, we have our own peer support, maybe like age mate, ama maybe you're working together, the good people you have around you, you can go for support. Una seek support. Nasema me, I was this and this and this, and I took this and this for these years, but I feel I really want to maybe to ask for forgiveness, and I just want to reconcile, vitu kama hivyo. Ama I just want to heal. This thing is really troubling me, mpaka siwezi, so I just want to, hata kama sitarudi nyumbani, sitarudiana na mtu, lakini I just want to be free, so that hizi vitu zinakatika. Then you need to foster friendship with now the right people who can help you, people who can motivate you, people who will even guide you. You need maybe sometimes a new life. So you need to work on this new life. And also here, this topic is very, very wide and broad. Hatuwezi kuimaliza kwa leo. In case pengine there's somebody here in this forum, atuambie ya kuwa yeye anataka kuopen up, yeye anataka kubreak, yani kurudi, kuharmonize from the breakup, and maybe the family is around, ama the family is not around, and what that person wants. Is it a personal freedom, anataka to be free out of hizo vitu zote, anatakana a seek psychological counseling, therapies and religious. Ikiwa anataka kuwa free, but then to reconnect back, maybe to have a friendship, pia you can do that. You can be helped to go back. Hata kama ni wewe ndo utakana uanze, fine. But in most cases, pia wasa ingine mtu anakuja anaanza, like maybe me, Muhammad is my son. Now, maybe because of 1, 2, 3, we didn't talk for maybe 5 years. And now Muhammad wants to say sorry to mom. But mimi mom ndo sitaki. You know, there are certain issues kama hizo. Break that ego. Hiyo ego haitakupeleka mahali. Yeah? And those ambao wako so deeply cut because the wound is just too big. It has now become clinical. Mpaka anaanza kutumia uraibu, maybe anatumia sleeping pills ndio alale nini. You need to seek a medical attention. Yeah, from upate kabisa usaidizi ili kutokana na hiyo tabia, kwa sababu that's not you kabisa, and you need to become you. Yeah, and if we get another chance, I can bring you a survivor who normally tells about his story. This survivor is very open, and he talks on what affected him and how he went about it. It took time. It took 12 years. In the 12 years, 6 years, it was like he was mad, but he wasn't mad. He was trying to fix it, but he couldn't fix it alone. He was to be helped to fix it. Maybe up to there, labda kama kuna swali, because this is a very huge topic and you need to take a personal decision.
Oh, Mama, thank you very much. Of course, deep and extensive. I have just written on the call chat, Mama, that I think we are ready to get that guest. If we can extend this topic to next week, and then we can have that guest, and then we learn from them. And you will, after that, you can also close out. You can close up with maybe sentiments from the team as well. But before we hear anybody there, because time is running out, allow me to read a few comments that have been written. When you are speaking, there was a lot of keyboard championship on the call chat. I don't know whether people are listening or they are just concentrating on the call chat. Thank you very much. So, Mama Riziki also says there's this patriarchy system from our men, doesn't give us space. I want to believe she's wanted to say it doesn't give us space for relationship. And the Atta comes back and says, yes, Mwanaisha has a great point. It is good for a couple to know what family baggage has been shaping them, passed down when they are getting in relationship with each other. So I think it's about being open to each other around the baggages, the pains that you have survived, so that when something happens, you know that your partner had gone through these situations, so maybe they are reflecting on them. Mama Riziki goes back and says, socialization in our African culture, I think it's a continuation of our argument. Collins Oteo says, let's not forget about the current social media. Here also a major source of breakup among the young families. I think sometimes we admire the wrong things on social media, and we see people living like perfect lives, quote unquote, and we want to make our lives perfect like what we see, and that brings a lot of pressure at the household level. Thank you very much, Collins. Mama Riziki comes back and says, it's true that media acts a catalyst to high rate a percentage of family breakups. Thank you. Ula says, wonderful topic. Thank you, Mama Anissa. Acceptance is key. Forgiveness, forgiving yourself and forgiving those you who have wronged you completely, because healing comes from within you. And forgiveness sometimes doesn't mean you have to let these people in your life. People like Nelson Mandela said, we are going to forgive but not forget. So if you forgive, you make yourself lighter, but you don't forget, because if you forget, they might come back and harm you again. Like once bitten, twice shy. Mama Anisa has also alluded to that, that even as you forgive, you have to remember that they hurt you. So you have to be more careful. Mama Riziki comes again, says there's this person whom we were having a talk, and he was like saying this, you see, Madam Riziki, some years back, we didn't active engagement in media, no airing of cases, and lesser cases were seen in the community. Again, that's another adage around media. Ula says self-acceptance and self-love. Indeed. And then we have Ula again saying creating boundaries also to protect what's within yourself. Indeed. And then Collins Oteo comes back and says is walking away after asking for forgiveness and forgiving them an option. That's a question to you, Mama Anisa. Anauliza, je, ukiondoka kama umeomba msamaha na ukiwa samehe, is walking away an option? Nimesamehe ndio, lakini sitaki kukaa tena. That's a question to you, Mama Anisa. And the Ata says, I think so. You can forgive someone and choose not to keep them in your life. That could be a boundary to keep you safe. Thank you very much. Mama Anisa, over to you. Unless there's someone with a question, if any one of us would like to voice their question, I can see Cephas. Cephas, you can go and maybe allow them.
Yes, thank you, Mohammed. I think sometimes we normally make assumptions that we know our partners very well. But as we grow, both financially, economically, and even also socially, you find that people adopt different kinds of behaviors. Some of them can lead to differences in terms of opinion that can lead to the breakage of the families. So because I saw at one point people divorcing at the age, people who have lived over 40 years and 50 years and above. So I think this assumption that I know my partner, then we bury our heads and say we don't have any expectation of maybe something negative from them. So I think that we should accept that it is still a process of learning from our partners.
Oh, thank you very much, Cephas. Context changes sometimes. When the dynamics and context change, we adapt differently, and also adaptation is based on our early days. The S's or SEs come in play, like adverse childhood experiences. So when our context change, you want to adapt the way you used to adapt in the childhood levels when you were running away from danger and stuff. And this might affect families. And it may be a context change in terms of maybe a job loss, or maybe a bigger job, or maybe having more relatives coming to your circles and stuff. Mama Anisa, you have this to maybe say something and close the session, and then we beseech you to come back next Tuesday with that guest so that we can close this chapter altogether.
Thank you so much, Muhammad, and thanks for everyone who contributed. Yes, I want to go back to the social media. Let's also have another session, especially for social media, because it has done more harm than good in relationships. That one we will tackle it other times. But what EFAS, is it EFAS or? It's EFAS.
Or you can say bosim. If you say bosim, it is okay.
Yeah, it's true, kwa sababu kuna wakati mwingine you start a relationship very humbly kwa sababu hamuna kitu, hamuna nini, mkishaanza kupata huko juu, mwingine anaona mwenzake hafai, yeye ndiye anafaa. So hiyo pia ni very very big causes. About forgiveness, yes, just forgive for your own sake. Don't forget. Forgive na usipo forget ni sawa. But it's about you. It's about you. If you want to move on alone after you've forgiven, sawa. Ukienda ukibaki ni sawa, because it's about you. Hapa tunaangalia wewe, maumivu yako wewe, not the other person. Yule mwingine pia atajitibu kivyake. So kama mtu anakuambia msamehe na lakini I can't live with you, ni sawa, ameamua hivyo. Remember, if that person wasn't meant for you, they'll never be yours. Let them go. If they come back, they were meant to be yours. Thank you.
Wow, what a way to close this session, Mama Anissa. I can see Colin. Please, Colin, yours will be the last one. Have the stage, please.
Hello, Mr. Mohamed. Mama Anissa hajanijibu bado.
Amejibu. I think even Andy Atta alijibu, alisema to forgive is about you. It's not about the other person. So if you want to forgive and walk away in peace, it is okay for as long as it is about you. Remember, Mama Anissa, the other time, I don't know whether it was Mama Anissa or another guest speaker, said, when things get hot and you don't know what to do, choose your mental health. When everybody has said everything and you are confused what step to take, and you have several options and you're in a dilemma, choose your mental health. So when you forgive, you are choosing your mental health. And you can forgive and stay if you feel it is worth it. Or you can forgive and say, after all this, let me just make sure I'm walking away in peace. But again, Mwanaisha said something. Sometimes you walking away is not enough. If there are other people who are going to be affected by that you walking away, then you have to give it a thought. Because a lot of the time, children are the ones who are caught in the crossfire. But maybe next week, Mama Anissa will open it up for us and say, how much consideration should we have to give to children who are under our care vis-a-vis taking care of our mental health in such situations? There are quite difficult situations. But again, I will reiterate, if everything has been said and you are still confused, choose your mental health. I know there are some contributions coming, but ladies and gentlemen, we are 6 minutes after 9. We desire not to keep anybody later than 9 p.m. So kindly allow us to close the session, but reconvene again next week and have a continuation of the same. Thank you very much, everyone. You've been lovely. You've been very engaging, exciting, and wish you all the best. Good night. Let's meet next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Haya, tunaenda next week.